So Mank is the latest film from David Fincher, and it stars Gary Oldman, Amanda Seyfried, Charles Dance, and it's about Gary Oldman, who plays screenwriter Herman J. Mankiewicz, who co-wrote Citizen Kane, and it's about his, not necessarily his life, but like his writing of Citizen Kane, as well as like the inspirations from Citizen Kane. And it's a movie that I've heard about for a while. I was definitely kind of interested in it because I do like a lot of David Fincher's films. Um, he's been away from films for a while, so he's finally coming back. And the trailers looked very interesting. It looked very interesting with its black and white cinematography, kind of like Citizen Kane. And overall, overall, I think this movie, I remember like hearing a lot of things about it when it first came out. Like a lot of people didn't care for it. Like they thought it was very dense. It didn't really do anything, and just kind of like it was just there more than anything. And I kind of like avoided it for a bit. And also I kind of avoided watching it because even though I'm a movie lover, I have not seen Citizen Kane. I watched it before watching this though. So I can actually say that. Um Overall, Mank is definitely a very interesting movie, but I don't know what the point of it was, honestly. Because, like, well, let's start with the pros. There are actually a lot of pros I actually do like about this movie. The acting is pretty good across the board. Gary Oldman always delivers a fantastic performance. He does so here as well as the screenwriter of Citizen Kane. Amanda Seyfried, she's also really good here. I'm surprised by her career, honestly. She's really good as Marion Davies. I probably mispronounced that. I'm an idiot. She's really good here as well. She's kind of like a nice foil to Gary Oldman's Mank as well. The cinematography, the black and white cinematography by Eric Messerschmidt, very, very well done. Also, like, there's like multiple. Like, I kind of just talked about this with Run, where it's like, oh, it pays homage to Misery in a lot of ways. Here, this movie kind of pays homage to Citizen Kane a lot, which makes a lot more sense, to be honest. Because, like, you know, obviously he co-wrote Citizen Kane, so it just makes more sense. Like, there's various shots, there's various themes throughout this entire movie that are kind of shown throughout this entire movie, and it works overall. The sound design, I kind of also talked about this with Sound of Metal, too. The sound design in this movie is also very fascinating because it's kind of recorded like one of those old movies as well. Because like all of it's kind of just layered on top of each other, and they're all kind of recorded on the same track apparently. It's kind of like one of those movies from the 1940s, like Citizen Kane. So I also thought that was very interesting. So it kind of made me appreciate it more. Like again, with theaters shutting down, I kind of like didn't understand like why sound was necessary, and like movies like Sound of Metal and Mank make me understand it more, honestly. And there's like a lot of things that they talk about throughout this movie, like kind of like with the trial of the Chicago 7, also released by Netflix this year. Kind of addresses like a bunch of serious issues that are like kind of relevant to today, so I thought that was very interesting as well. Even though the script was like written in 2003, it was actually written by David Fincher's late father, who wrote it. He wanted to make it in the 90s. He couldn't because they didn't like the black and white idea, but he still got it made, so that's good for him. And obviously, unfortunately, his father passed away before the movie could even be made. So it worked. It finally got it out there. That's good. There are some things I really don't like about this movie. Now, a lot of people just didn't like the fact that the movie just cuts back and forth between like when he was writing Citizen Kane and like decades earlier. And the movie, the way it does it, it's like it kind of just tells you, oh, this is a flashback, because it's like, oh, it kind of like shows on the screen like interior, this place, nights, flashback, and they always do that for the flashback, never for the present day. And while that was fine for a while, like a lot of the scenes in this movie, to me, there's a lot of scenes where Gary Oldman just kind of gets drunk and just goes on rants. And while I was definitely interested in like a lot of these rants, like they were really well written, they were really well acted by Oldman, I just felt like they didn't really advance anything in this movie. They're definitely interesting to watch, like kind of like how Gary Oldman does like his thing, and like how he kind of like uses this dialogue in many ways. And it can be fun. It's like sometimes they're funny, sometimes they're like it kind of makes you think about the way you see the world. but at the same time, they don't really affect a lot of this movie, unfortunately. And that's kind of a shame. So, overall, Mank, it's definitely a very well-made movie. It's definitely a very fascinating movie. It's definitely worth a watch if you are, like, a film... If you're definitely interested in movies like I am. It's definitely worth a watch at some point. I wouldn't rank this, like, as one of David Fincher's best films, unfortunately. But... mainly because it's, like, it has ideas and nowhere to go, unfortunately. And that's kind of the big problem. It's well acted, it's well shot, well scored. The sound design's great. A lot of things are great in this movie, but where are you going? Just where are you guys going? I'll give Mank 3 out of 4 stars. See, it's definitely worth a watch, especially if you're a movie fan. So, did you see Mank? What did you think of it? What's your favorite David Fincher film, or what's your favorite oldies movie, like classic movie, like 40s? If I have anyone if there's any subscribers who actually have seen movies from that long ago. Comment down below, subscribe to the channel. This is Pat, and stay safe.